Trial Tuesday, attorney David AAYLORr is here to discuss injuries in public places and what to do if it happens to you or a loved one. A lot of injuries happen in public places.
Right.
What do we do? Are we looking for witnesses? What type of injuries are we talking about? We're talking about major injuries? We're talking about slip and fall? What are we talking about?
Really both. And sometimes what looks like a minor injury becomes a major injury. Like for instance, with a slip and fall, or maybe a fall into like some sort of pothole at a park type of thing. Initially just seems like, oh, it felt strained, really nothing to it. Next thing you know, you're an orthopedist and you may have, torn a tendon or ligament. And then at that point, it really gets frustrating because it may be too difficult to go back then and make a claim against, whatever property you're on and going against, of course, their insurance as opposed to having to cover it yourself.
Sure. Let's say you slip and fall in a store, in a big department store or whatever. What's one of the first things you should do? I think I know what I would do, but what are some of the first things that you would do if, let's just say, they just mopped the area, they didn't put up the little cones or whatever, and you go walking, da-de-da-de-da, and all of a sudden you slip, and man, you land right square on your bottom, and it's hurting. It's hurting. Yeah.
Well, first thing you want to do is make sure you get medical treatment as soon as possible. At the same time, if you're with anybody else, and hopefully you would be, get some assistance within the actual department store or whatever it may be that you are. You want to get a report filed. I have too many people that come to me after something like that's happened. Hey, I fell down or I tripped or whatever it may be. And then what happened? Well, I left. I had to go hurry. I was meeting someone for lunch. And then later that afternoon, it was hurting more. And then finally went to the doctor. But by the time they're trying to go work backwards and go back to the incident, it makes it very difficult because that insurance company can simply say, we don't know that it happened there, we don't know what happened there, and the's no way that you're really going to be able to go back. You didn't get a report filed at the time, which again is going to end up putting it back on you, which is not the way it should be. I was told one time, years ago, documentation is everything. Right. Yeah. And it's that easy because any type of store, or if it's a public place, if it's a police department, they would come and make a statement, as far as putting a report together. Everyone's going to be trained to have something so you can at least get what happened. That's a great thing about cell phone pictures. You're able to take pictures, have someone else take pictures. And then once those damages are, done as far as what has actually happened on the scene, plus whatever treatment you may need, then you're going to go back to that assessment. And that's where trying to go against the responsible parties, and of course, particularly their insurance companies, so that your bills are paid that way. If someone's with you, get them to talk with any witnesses that may have seen what happened? Yeah, like you said, if there's certain things that are left out, some hazard, somebody else saw, I was wondering why that was there, that sort of thing. Get their name, get their number too, because the insurance company is always going to push back because they're in business of making money. So if there's a way that they can't cover, they probably will go that route. But if you can show that you've got other witnesses that show the hazard, you have the injury that happened there, you've reported it, you're going to put yourself in a much better position. Tell me the simplest accident you've ever seen that turned out to be something possibly major. Probably the simplest one I saw was real simple. It was just a lady that was here in one of the local counties, and she was walking in a park area, and part of the sidewalk had some uneven gravel and then some uneven concrete where basically it's just not been repaired. And this is something that had been a public park area for quite some time. Ended up with a torn ACL as well as several other tendons. She was a middle-aged woman, and again, at first she thought she just fell. Next thing you know, she ended up having to have 2 surgeries, and the medical bills were in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. But luckily there was a report done that day by the ambulance that came, as well as the fire department actually came out. So we were able to go back and recover. Back to documentation. Absolutely, every time. Attorney David AAYLORr, always a pleasure, sir. We're back in just a moment with more of Low Country Live.